Well, massive news coming out of Wimbledon. The All England Tennis Club have released the seedings for the 2022 tournament, the gentlemen's singles and the ladies singles, or the men's and women's, if you will. So, yes, they've also done the doubles, but I'm going to focus on the singles as we do here because that's where my so-called expertise anyway lies. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new as well. Really do appreciate it. And if you're a podcast listener or watcher, remember to leave a rating review. Subscribe, follow us, all that good stuff. You can also become a member on YouTube by hitting that join button for some cool and exclusive perks as well. Thank you for all of you who have become members already as well. Well, let's get into it. So, very not interesting, to be honest with you, because I think we knew which way it was going to go given the rankings, etc. And nowadays, of course, tournaments and Grand Slams don't actually cater in prior results at the tournament like they used to. Wimbledon used to be one of those tournaments that had their own seedings. They kind of did take into the rankings, or did take the rankings into account if they wanted to, but have their kind of own seedings in place. Of course, we saw at the French Open or Roland Garros, the top half of the draw was absolutely stacked. A lot of people were not happy with it. Some people didn't mind because you were more guaranteed seeing Djokovic versus Nadal or Alcaraz versus someone, for example, right? Rather than, say, one of them losing early on. But we have the complete opposite. It's more of an even, in quotation marks, draw if we take into account, I guess, people that have won here before and people that will, in a lot of people's eyes, be the contenders, I guess, at the Slam. So we'll go through the men's first. They've actually released all of the seeds, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, all 32 of the seeds. We'll go through... We can go through all of them quickly if you want. And we'll focus more on the top 10 and I guess people that can potentially meet each other. So Djokovic and Nadal. So Djokovic at number 1, Nadal at number 2. So they're potential finalists, right? So if they do meet each other at Wimbledon, it won't be anywhere before the final. So that's for a lot of people anyway, that will be a massive positive. For Casper Ruud and Tsitsipas, of course, they will potentially meet like a Nadal or Djokovic in a semi-final. That's kind of how it normally plays out. Normally it's 1 versus 4, so it could be Djokovic versus Tsitsipas, and then Nadal versus Ruud, for example, and then it's 2 versus 3, that is. But it's not always the case, so it could be 1 versus 3, 2 versus 4. I guess it depends on how the draw comes out and how they want to do it. And then Alcaraz, Felix, Hurkacz, Berrettini make up the 5 to 8. So that is a very interesting one because Alcaraz could potentially meet a Nadal or Djokovic in the quarterfinals. Same with Felix, same with Hurkacz, same with Berrettini. Berrettini, of course, making the final last year. But yeah, they could potentially meet. They'll potentially meet one of Tsitsipas, Ruud, Nadal, Djokovic, right? In the quarters, and then of course meet one of them in the semis as well. Of course, we'll go into it in more depth, I guess, when the draw actually comes out because it's a lot easier to see. Give our predictions and previews as we always do when the draw's out. I think it's out Friday, midday UK time, so I'll try and do one straight after the draws come out actually on that Friday. So for Berrettini at number 8, he might be thinking, well, damn, I really wish the seedings were actually taking into account prior results because he would have been hoping to have been seeded a bit higher, right, given that he made the final. For Felix, that would be a kind of positive sign at 6. Tsitsipas will be really happy at 4 because he kind of avoids meeting a Nadal or Djokovic in a quarter. It'll be the semi, so he kind of avoids those guys at the quarterfinal stage because he's at seeded 4, whereas Alcaraz at 5 could meet one of them, for example. So interesting to see there. Cam Norrie at 9. Of course, Hurkacz we've seen as well win last week. Really, really impressive fashion against Medvedev at Halle. Of course, Medvedev, so no Russians, of course. So no Medvedev, no Rublev, none of the Belarusians as well. No Khachanov, no Karatsev. We'll talk about it, of course, on the women's side because I feel like there's a much bigger gap because of the omissions even of the Russians and Belarusians on the women's side. So that it's even more open than it usually is. But yeah, so Cam Norrie at 9, he'll be happy with that seeding. And Sinner makes up the top 10 seedings. Interestingly, the Italian who not quite sure where he's going to be at because he's been very injury prone. I don't think he's played any matches, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know whether he will play any matches going into Wimbledon. Don't really have high hopes for him, honestly, but we'll see how he gets on. He's a very talented Italian, but more suited to the clay and, of course, the hard courts, or the slower hard courts, you'd say as well. And then if we go from 11 down to 20, Taylor Fritz at 11, Schwartzman at 12, Shapovalov at 13. He's been in some really poor form, but of course made the semi-finals of Wimbledon last year. Has failed to win a first-round match in the grass court swing so far. We'll see how he gets on. I'm not sure if he's playing Mallorca, but I'd imagine he will be trying to play a tournament this week, if not Eastbourne or Mallorca. I think he must be playing one of them. Cilic, of course, losing the semi-finals to Krajinovic at Queens, but he's someone that a lot of people will be hoping to avoid because he's got the tools on grass. He's made a final before at Wimbledon. He's won Queens twice. He does like the surface. Riley Opelka as well, someone that you want to avoid early on because he's got massive serve, as everyone knows. The forehand as well, a little bit underrated, I have to say. But yeah, he's a pretty tidy player, Riley Opelka. Hasn't had great results recently, but he's a threat. Pablo Carreño Busta, solid, but like Roberto Bautista Agut, I think both of them slightly different players. PCB loves the hard courts. RBA, Bautista Agut is probably a better grass court player than Pablo Carreño Busta, I would say, given recent results in the last few years at Wimbledon. But both players, I don't see them particularly going very far. They may make a quarterfinal, but I can't see them getting any further than that. Grigor Dimitrov is someone who has made a semi-final of Wimbledon before, so he'll be looking to make some moves, although he finally got into kind of, I think, a pretty decent place on the clay, especially with a drive one-hander, with a one-handed backhand, that is, and looking pretty comfortable. And I think after a while, he was thinking, oh, you know what? It's quite a good place for him to think, you know what, I'm actually able to really hit this with a lot of pace, a lot of spin, and I'm comfortable hitting it. But I think, of course, now transitioning to the grass, he'll be slicing a lot more as he has been doing on the hard courts, and it'll be very, very different, I think, for him. So we'll see how he gets on, but I would imagine that he will try his best he'll try his best, won't he, to be good on the grass, no doubt. Gilles Monfils, he will be playing Wimbledon according to the seedings anyway, so he's at 19. Let's see how he gets on. Hasn't played much tennis at all. Interested to see how he gets on. And Alex de Minaur at 20. That's an interesting one. I'm not 100% sure how he will get on. The Australian has been very up and down, so let's see how he does. I'm not sure. I'm not sure is the honest answer because, again, being pretty up and down. I know his form hasn't been great, but he does move around the court very, very well. We'll see. John Isner, of course, massive server, likes Wimbledon, likes the serving conditions, although he actually historically has his best results at the French Open. Crazy, right? But it's true. And then we'll go from 21 down to 32. I'll go through them pretty quickly. As you can see here, Van Zandt at 22 had a really good run at Queens, making the semi-finals, losing to Berrettini. Nicholas Bashishvili, the 2030 from Georgia, is a massive, massive hitter off both wings. He'll be looking to cause some damage on these faster courts. Same with Francis Tiafoe, Holger Rune, the young Danish player, in some really good form. Let's see how he gets on. And then, of course, we're looking at other players as well. Not 100% sure how someone like a Kecmanovic does. We'll see. Krajinovic, of course, never won a grass court match before today. He'll now be in a position to try and make a little bit of a run after never winning a match at Wimbledon or a grass court tournament. He then managed to make his first final, which was incredible, against, of course, Berrettini, beating Cilic as well as Dimitrov. So he's been in great form. Let's see how he gets on. And then we've got Sonego, of course, the Italian, not really particularly good on the grass. So let's see how he gets on. Dan Evans, he's someone you don't want to draw early on because he's tricky with a good slice, backhand slice. He knows how to play on grass. He's comfortable on it. We'll see how he gets on, but don't hold out too much hope of him going deep. But you just don't know. It depends on his draw, on how he gets on. Jensen Brooksby will I think he'll like it personally. I think he will. I think he'll genuinely like it. We'll see. But for me, I feel like it's a good chance for him to really showcase his skills, for sure. Then if we look at the others, we can have a look at Tommy Paul. He's been really good recently as well. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. And Sebastian Baez, of course, made almost managed to dump out, of course, Alexander Zverev. In the end, not able to do it, but he'll be looking to do something similar here at Wimbledon and cause an upset or two. He seeded those, so that's a massive plus for him. He won't have to, I guess, fight so hard in the earlier rounds, you would imagine, but we'll see how he gets on. And then if we go to the women's, of course, it'll be very interesting to see how these guys get on, and also the seedings. So you can see at the top there, the big favorite, the person who everyone's thinking is going to win, Iga Swiatek at number 1. No surprises there. But Anett Kontaveit, who hasn't played much tennis whatsoever, she's at number 2. Now, she's a good grass court player generally from what I've seen in the past. But I don't really know how she's going to fare because she hasn't played much tennis whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting to see how she does get on. I'm not sure is the honest answer. Ons Jabeur did win a tournament last week, beating Bencic and Goff as well. A couple of good players on the way to that win. So she will be in pretty confident form. Maybe the quarters last year, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And then Paula Badosa, a really solid player in terms of, I guess, just her. I don't know. For me, it's really her power, right? Her power and precision is something that should put her in good stead for a grass court. She did go and make the last 16, I think, last year. We'll see how she gets on. And then if we look at the other players as well. So, yeah, Paula Badosa at 4, Maria Sakkari at 5. She's been very up and down, although she's made a couple of deep runs at tournaments. Let's see how she gets on. Pliskova at 6. Made the final last year at Wimbledon, of course. So we'll see how she gets on. So Swiatek and Kontaveit. I mean, Kontaveit's got a very favourable seeding at 2. Jabeur as well will be happy with her seeding. If they can just avoid upsets early on, they could go pretty deep in these tournaments, you'd imagine. Daniel Collins will be happy at 7. And then Pegula at 8 as well. So they're seeded, the 2 Americans, pretty high. Muguruza at 9. She's a former Wimbledon champion, but she's been in really poor form. She's been upset left, right, and centre, so we'll see how she gets on. Raducanu at 10, of course, the British hope, who, of course, won the US Open last year. She made her running, I guess, breakthrough at Wimbledon, making a 4th round. Let's see if she can go better, at least one better this year. Coco Gauff at 11, a French Open finalist. Can she go one better, potentially even win the tournament this year? Let's see. And then, of course, we've got Ostapenko at 12. Krejcikova even at 13. Bencic at 14. The Swiss player in really good form. Kerber at 15. Let's see how she gets on, former Wimbledon champion. Same with Simona Halep. Rybakina is a big hitter. And someone like a Jill Teichmann could cause an upset. We'll see. If we look at other players, Keys at 19. Anisimova at 20. She's been in good form. Very young American. She can definitely cause an upset. Madison Keys likes the grass as well. Camilla Giorgi at 21. Let's see. I'm not sure how she'll fare. She's got an aggressive game, but she's very haphazard at times as well. Martina Trevisan, after a great semi-final run at the French Open, is at 22. I'm not sure how well her game will translate to grass, but let's see. And then Beatrice Haddon-Mayer, who's, of course, won back-to-back grass court tournaments, the most informed player on the women's tour. She's at 23. I'm interested to see how she fares at Wimbledon. She'll have cautiously optimistic hopes, I'd imagine, just to at least make some sort of run. Elise Mertens at 24. Kvitova, former champion, at 25. Kirsty at 26. Potensev at 27. Risk at 28, who does love the grass. She's a self-confessed lover of the grass. Kalinina at 29. Rogers at 30. Kanepi, who's, of course, a monster upset merchant, you'd say. So she won't really be able to do the same, I don't think, at 31. At seeded 31, because she's obviously, of course, a seed, unless maybe she was to draw, say, Serena Williams in the first round, who's unseeded. But she's not going to draw a seed. Normally, she draws a seed and knocks them out in the first round. But she's, of course, managed to improve her ranking recently. And then Cerebus Tormo at 32, the Spaniard. Not sure how well she's going to fare on the grass. She has very high coverage ground strokes with good topspin. Not really moon balls, but I guess if you were to really classify it as a ground stroke, you might say, yeah, a moon ball. But just very, very clever tennis. But on the grass, I'm not sure how well she'll fare. She might have to change it up a bit. She's got a good backhand slice, so that will help. So we'll see how she gets on. Let me know what you think on the seedings as well. Are you happy with them? Do you think the rules for seeding should change, like how a lot of people were calling for them to be changed at the French Open? Are you happy with Djokovic at 1 and 2? Are you happy on the ladies' side with Iga Swiatek and Kontaveit at 2? Is that controversial? Let me know your thoughts, and let me know as well your predictions. We've got a lot of content coming out for Wimbledon, of course, a live, which hopefully will be with Cam Williams from Tennis Talk on Thursday. And we'll, of course, be doing the draw preview and predictions on Friday. So do keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well, and we'll see you on the next video.